Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel today. Today I figured I would go ahead and record my experience with my vertical gastric sleeve surgery and where I got it done and all of that. So if you don't know already, I did decide to get my surgery done in Mexico. And if you haven't watched my first video, I kind of go in depth of why I decided to do that. So if you haven't watched that video, go check that one out. But I did do a lot of research. I know it sounds crazy to some when you hear surgery in Mexico. You just have to do your research. You know, you can't just say, go on a whim and have it done. You need to do your research. I did quite a lot of it. And so I had my surgery done at a facility called Pompeii Surgical in Tijuana, Mexico. I had my surgery done April 14th of 2018. The nice thing about this place is they do surgeries on the weekends as well. So I was trying to utilize my time the best I could and not take off as much time with work. Not all their doctors do surgeries on the weekends. The main, like the head surgeon, I guess you can say, is Dr. Quinones. I'm probably really saying that wrong and I apologize. But he does a lot of the more complicated procedures, the bypasses, as well as like revisions and people that have had bariatric surgery before and he's doing a revision or something like that. So he does do anything that's more complicated. But my doctor was Dr. Saucedo, and he was absolutely amazing. He was very compassionate. He came in and talked to me before surgery and talked to my husband. Thankfully, my husband speaks Spanish, and so it was really nice having him along, obviously for that reason. But there's always translators around and things like that. But I'm kind of getting off course here because I wanted to start kind of from the beginning to end. So my day of surgery, I arrived, I don't know, I think around like 10 something maybe, and they call you out ahead of time and give you the directions and the details of what you need. So we flew into San Diego and texted the number I was supposed to text and was told that the driver was going to be there in 15 minutes. We just had to text the like the letter that was right outside the airport of where we were standing, so they knew where to pick us up at. So we just waited out on the curb until they came and got us, said, you know, what kind of car the person's driving, the name of the person, and all of that. So our driver, which I don't remember the name of the driver, picked us up, was like in a nice, I don't know, I want to say maybe a Suburban or something along that line. They will usually try and pick up several people that have arrived around the same time and take them to the facility. But we were the only ones there at that time. So it was just me and my husband that he was picking up. Going over the border was really easy. It was probably like 20 minutes or so. And going into Mexico, they don't stop and check anything. You don't have to show them ID or anything like that. So we just drove right through the border, and you know, the driver was kind of telling us, oh, that's so-and-so, and that's, you know, kind of talking to us and telling us what is around and things like that. And so we got to the facility. I went on a Saturday. I came in on the same day of my surgery. So when you come in, you start filling out some paperwork, kind of all in the lobby where there's other patients that are filling out their stuff at that point. Once you have all your paperwork filled out, then they take you to a room where you change, and they get your IV started and things like that. So again, all of the nurses, most of them, some of them spoke English, some of them didn't. If you had a nurse that did not speak English, there was always a translator there, which was really nice. But for me, I did have my husband. But so we were on the second floor of Pompeii, which is kind of their older wing. But it was still very clean, no real complaints. There was I was in a private room, but with a shared bathroom, but we were right next to the bathroom, so it wasn't that big of a deal. I would have liked to have my own bathroom if I was doing it now, knowing that you can ask for rooms with a private bathroom, because some of them do have them. But I wasn't aware of that when I scheduled it, so it wasn't a huge deal. But I was in the older wing. There was a TV there that you can hook up your Netflix to or whatnot. So got up to the room. By this time was probably like noon or 12:30 or so. They started my IV. I told them, just a heads up, I'm a kind of a hard poke, which I am. I'm really hard to, usually to get IVs in or even blood draws or things like that, just because my veins are small and they tend to roll. But I told the nurse that, and he still was able to get it the first time. Didn't hurt at all. Well, I take that back. It did hurt. It's an IV, but he got me on the first time, which was really good. And they took my blood. That was about it. They gave me compression socks, had me change into the whole booties and bonnet situation. And then it was just waiting at that point. I think I waited until, and I guess this was the only complaint I had. I was expecting, because they were doing everything, I was expecting surgery to be a little bit, sooner than what it was. And I was kind of just sitting around waiting, not really sure when I was going to go. And I don't think my surgery was until 4 or something, which wasn't too bad. But when you're that anxious and that you haven't eaten anything, you haven't drank anything, that is a long wait. But I don't think it would be any different than anywhere else that you were going to. So anyway, when it was my time, they came and got me, and you basically walk down and walk to the OR. I was on the second floor, so we walked down the stairs. Somebody carried my IV bag, and I remember going into the OR, just this little room. Looked like a standard OR if you've ever had surgery before. I remember laying on the table, and then I remember them putting the mask over me, and started to count backwards, I think, and then I don't remember anything. The next thing I know, I was waking up in recovery. That's always a weird feeling of, it feels like it's just a second goes by and you're awake and you're done. I remember when I woke up, I felt like there was just an elephant sitting on my chest, which was the gas pain, that everybody talks about being horrible, and it is pretty bad. I've had several laparoscopic surgeries before, and I don't ever remember the gas pain feeling as bad as it was with this. So I probably was in recovery about 20 minutes or so, and they make you walk back to your room. So after a while, they help you get up and literally walk back to the OR, because not to the OR, back to your room. My room is upstairs. So I literally had to walk my butt up the stairs to go into back to my room. And they helped you, and you could go as slow as you needed to. And it was fine. But I remember getting back into my bed and resting, and an hour and a half goes by, and I started to get sick. I threw up. My husband was sitting across the room, and I think he was on his laptop with earphones in because he was trying not to bother me, and I couldn't get his attention, and I couldn't even sit up all the way, and I was just started to vomit, and it wasn't really even vomit because I obviously didn't have anything in my stomach, but it was all bloody, which I guess is normal because everything in your stomach, I mean, they just did surgery and cut out 70% of your stomach. And so there's going to be blood in there, and it really freaked him out because here I am throwing up blood and he's completely freaked out. And it was all like foamy and gross. Sorry if TMI, but apparently it's very normal if you are going to get sick for it to look like it did. It just looked scary. But the nurses were phenomenal. They came in and they got me because I had it literally like dripping me down because I couldn't sit up enough for it to come out, or for me to put it somewhere, you know. And so it was literally all over, and it was like in my hair, and it was really gross. But the nurses were all so nice and helped me get cleaned up and helped me change. They had to change all of my bedding and everything like that, but they were so nice. So that was like the worst of it the first night, and obviously the gas pains, and they stayed up on my medications. The next day was kind of just the same. They want you up and walking as much as possible, so that really helps. You know, making your rounds, upstairs and kind of just doing a circle. And there was another guy up there with me, and we just kind of did our circles together, one right after another. It was like a train going on. It was kind of funny. So walking as much as you can helps. They even they unhooked me from, they didn't unhook the IV from my arm, but like the little tube that goes to the IV machine unhooked me from that so I could walk downstairs. Some friends that I had met through Facebook, the Pompeii site, and we all had surgery the same day, and so I got to go down there and see them. And so that was kind of fun. Got to walk downstairs and everything. And then the next day after that is when, or did we do the leak test? I'm trying to think when we do the leak test. Was it the day after surgery? I can't remember if that's the day that you get discharged. I think it's the day after surgery you go get your leak test. I don't know. I'm completely losing it right now. Because you leave on the third day? On the second day? I don't know. I'm completely like scatterbrained right now. I'm pretty sure it's the next day you go in for your leak test. I can't remember 4 months ago. Anyway, so they take you with everyone else who had surgery the same day as you to go get your leak test. And you basically go, it's kind of like a radiology place, and it's a barium swallow is what you do, and then they take some pictures and they just make sure that you're not leaking at all. And that stuff is horrible. I'm so sorry for anybody that's watching this that's going to have this done, but let me tell you, I'm not going to lie, the barium swallow is absolutely horrible. I know several people, one girl in particular, threw up when she drank it, and it's really, really bad. It's like the texture, and it's like lukewarm, room temperature, just nasty stuff. And it's just, and when you already don't have anything on your stomach and you're kind of woozy from all the other medications, the pain meds, how it can kind of make you feel. The barium swallow stuff is absolutely horrible, and they can't give you water or anything to like chase it. You just have to drink it and have that taste in your mouth. But they make you taste, you drink a little bit of it, and then I think they took a little bit of pictures, and then you have to like chug the rest. It wasn't a whole lot. It was like in a little cup with like maybe like that much or something. It wasn't like a huge amount, but it's just nasty tasting. And anyway, then they take your pictures, and then you wait back out in the lobby, and you actually get to take the pictures with you to take back to the doctor. Drinking my coffee here, so excuse me. So anyway, you go back, to the facility. And once you, once the doctor's able to read your leak test and make sure that you don't have a leak, you get to have the infamous popsicles that everybody just raves about. And by that time, they are like the best tasting thing that you have ever had in your life. They're so good. And then at that point, you can have like as many of those popsicles as you want. I don't know, I think I had one, and then I waited a bit because it's amazing how full you get so quickly. And at that point, you're still really, really swollen, but just the having that flavor and the coolness of it, it was just absolutely the best thing ever. And then on your last day before your discharge, you have one more leak test. You drink this, it's basically apple juice that has a little bit of purple dye in it because you have a drain coming out of your side. And so that's the last leak test they do. They make you drink that, and they wait and they check your drain to make sure you don't have any purple dyed fluid in there. That's how they know, the last leak test, that you're still not leaking anything. And then they get you ready to go to get discharged. So you have the drain taken out, the IV taken out, all of that. The removal of the drain, that was another thing that for me, it didn't hurt, but it was just the weirdest feeling. I did not like it at all. Like, they make you take a deep breath in, and then they just pull this out, and it's just like this weird pressure feeling. It's just very, very strange, and it kind of made me like yelp out a little bit. Not that it necessarily hurt, but I just couldn't, I don't know, the feeling was just too much for me, I guess. So anyway, at that point, you get ready to go. So I decided to wait till I got to the beach house to shower and everything. I didn't want to shower when I was still hooked up to the IUD. I did take a shower the day after surgery, but it's just really difficult when you're got everything hooked on you, and I wanted just to be disconnected from everything on that shower the day that I was discharged. So I'm like, I'm just gonna wait until I get to the penthouse. We did decide to go for the penthouse, which is at the same location as the beach house. It's basically like these really tall building, almost reminds you of a hotel, but they're actual little apartments and things in there. And on the top floor is the penthouse, which is pretty big. I think it had like 4 or 5 bedrooms, maybe 4. And we had the king bedroom, king suite downstairs. So we had our private bathroom. The bedroom was downstairs, which was nice. You didn't have to go up and down the stairs. And then our room had an entry to the side balcony, which was really nice. And so our person that kind of showed us around was Karina. Super, super nice. She kind of gave us a tour of the place, and said whoever wants to go down, and we can get your companions lunch, and you can do some sightseeing and do some shopping and stuff. And I'm like, I think I'm gonna stick around. I want to take a shower still. I might go out later. And so my husband went because he was hungry, and I think everyone else went. And so I stuck around, and I'm like, I'm gonna take a shower. The bathroom was this beautiful bathroom in this huge spa tub that was very deep. You had to step over, I'm short, I have short legs. You had to step quite a bit over the outside of the tub. And there's a handle right here that you can hold on to. And I'm trying to be super, super careful. And so I'm holding on to the handle, and I put my left leg in, and I transfer my weight to put my other leg in, when my left leg comes out from underneath me. And so my other leg was still on the outside of the shower, and there's glass doors, so there's that metal railing. And so this leg went out, my knee kind of bent out this way. This leg was still out here, so that came in and like scraped over the tub, and I fell. And I am at this point on my stomach. No, I think I had turned and I was on my back, and I was crying, and it hurt so bad. And I'm like, how the hell am I going to get up? Like, my leg and my knee hurt so bad, and I looked down to make sure I haven't torn like my stitches or anything like that, which thankfully I didn't. So I turned around, so I was on my one knee. I couldn't put any weight on my left knee at all, and managed to get up. And I was determined to take that freaking shower, and so I kind of just didn't put any weight on my left leg, finished up my shower quick. Anytime I tried to put any weight on it, I could feel it start to give out. It was really bad. So that was just a real bummer. I ended up very carefully getting myself out and wobbled over to the bed to get dressed. And I didn't want to text my husband to tell him. I didn't want to ruin him having his lunch and being down. And so I just waited till he got back and told him, and he felt so bad for leaving me, even though it wasn't his fault at all. And Karina came and checked my knee, and wasn't a whole lot anyone could do at that point. So yeah, I just tried to stay off of it. I just wasn't able to go down shopping or anything. It was just kind of a bummer. So anyway, the next day we got picked up very early in the morning. Our flight, I don't remember what time our flight was. I think it was like around 10 something, or maybe it was around 12 something. I think our flight was actually around 12 something, but we had to get picked up pretty early. And I ended up, because my knee and I was just so scatterbrained, I ended up leaving all of my medications that they gave me at the beach house. And I didn't somebody called the driver when we were headed back, and it's like a 20 or 30 minute drive from Tijuana to Rosarita, where the penthouse and stuff is. And they told him that, somebody left their medication. So I'm like, well, what the heck am I gonna do? So anyway, one of the guys that was with us that got picked up that morning, he was having surgery that morning. So we were gonna have to drop him off at Pompeii anyway before going to San Diego. So Pompeii was awesome enough to give me a whole new set of medications. I was prepared to pay for the second set, and they did not make me pay for it, even though I had already opened the previous medications because I had taken stuff that morning. So it's not like they could necessarily be reused on another patient. But they were kind enough to give me a whole new set. So that was really nice of them. And so then at that point, they took us back to the airport. And unfortunately, because of my knee, I had to get a wheelchair, and it was just kind of a big pain. My poor husband had to get me through security with all of our, it was not the best. I wasn't able to find the infamous broth that you can get in San Diego. And I was just kind of, thankfully we didn't have a long flight. It's only like an hour and a half flight or something like that. But then we did have to drive from Sacramento to Redding, which is like a 2.5 hour drive. So that was kind of a pain. I was very thankful to be home. But the whole experience with Pompeii was absolutely phenomenal. I would recommend it to anyone. You just, you have to do your research so you feel comfortable with where it is that you're going. And just because it's in another country doesn't mean that, you're not going to get as good of care as if you were in the US. And honestly, I've had a handful of surgeries, and their care was even better than what I would have gotten in the US. All of their staff was absolutely amazing. They do whatever it is that they can to make you feel comfortable and make you feel taken care of, and I greatly appreciate that. It's the best decision I've ever made. I wish I would have done it sooner, but I have absolutely no regrets at all. So I'm pretty much going to leave it here. I think I've rambled long enough. If you have any questions for me specifically, that's something I did not touch on, feel free to ask a question, or any questions down below, or if you have any questions about anything that I didn't touch on, go ahead and ask them about surgery or post-op specific questions or anything like that. Please let me know. And I would be happy to answer them for you. If you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel. I would greatly appreciate it. And also follow me on Instagram. It's thatgirlJess_WLS. WLJ, sorry, I don't even know my own account name. WLJ weight loss journey is what that's for. So anyway, I will check you guys on my next video. Bye guys.